Today, we're not just looking at a blueprint for a house or a city, we're looking at a blueprint for reality itself. We're going to unpack a model that weaves together ancient wisdom, cutting-edge physics, and some really practical psychology to ask a huge question. Are we just living in reality, or are we actually building it?
So let's just get right to the heart of it. Can you consciously, intentionally design your own reality? I don't mean just kind of influence it. I mean, can you be the architect from the ground up?
To even start answering that, you need to get this core concept, the reality model. The best way to think of it is like a personal operating system, like Windows or Mac OS, but for your existence. It's this whole set of beliefs and assumptions, stuff you know and stuff you don't, that's running 24/7 in the background, shaping every single thing you see, feel, and experience.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll dive into the idea of a mental universe. Then, we'll look at the cosmic scaffolding that might hold it together. After that, we'll check out the mind's toolkit, the software you use to build. We'll see it all come together in a case study called the Godhead Blueprint, and then we bring it all back to your blueprint. All right, part 1, the mental universe. This is the bedrock, the absolute foundation that makes everything else we're about to talk about even possible.
It all kicks off with this single, absolutely massive idea from ancient Hermetic philosophy: the all is mind, the universe is mental. Now that's not just some nice-sounding phrase, it's a complete paradigm shift. It suggests that consciousness isn't just something that happens inside the universe, it's saying that consciousness is the universe. It's the very stuff it's made of.
And here's where it gets personal. If the universe is mental, then your mind is no longer just a passive observer watching the show. No way. You are an active participant, a co-creator. This model says that your inner world, your thoughts, your beliefs, acts like a mold, a matrix that literally attracts and shapes the conditions of your outer world. The outside becomes a perfect mirror of the inside.
Okay, part 2, cosmic scaffolding. So, if we're living in a mental universe, what does it look like? How is it structured? To figure that out, this model looks to some of the most brilliant architects we have, theoretical physicists.
So the thinking here, coming from researchers like Dirk Meyer, is that your brain isn't some isolated little computer sitting in your skull. Think of it more like a terminal that's constantly connected to a vast cosmic internet, always uploading and downloading information. This is the proposed physical bridge between your mind and that universal mind we were just talking about.
Now, the geometry that's used to model this constant flow is called a torus. You can see it here. It looks like a donut. What makes this shape so special is its continuous flow. Energy and information cycle in through the middle, out around the sides, and back in again in a perfectly self-sustaining loop. The proposition here is that this dynamic shape is one of the fundamental building blocks of space-time itself.
This diagram looks super complex, I know, but just focus on the center. That's you, right here, in the present moment. According to this model, you are the gateway. Information from the past is flowing into you almost like a black hole. And your awareness, your choices in the now, project that information out into the future like a white hole. You are the living center of this constant creative process.
Okay, let's layer on some really mind-bending physics. There's this idea called the ADS/CFT correspondence. That's a huge mouthful, I know. But here's the simple takeaway. It's basically a holographic principle. It suggests that our entire, huge, three-dimensional universe might just be a projection of information that's stored on a flat, two-dimensional surface. The big idea? Reality, at its most fundamental level, might just be pure information.
And one way you can visualize this information-based universe is with something called hyperbolic geometry, which is what you're looking at here. You see how the triangles get smaller and smaller as they go out to the edge? This shape is incredible because it lets you pack an infinite amount of information into a limited space. It's a potential map for a universe made of data.
And this diagram here, this mental workspace, kind of brings it all together. You've got the brain at the center, sure, but look at all the arrows. It's having a two-way conversation with everything around it, receiving information from cosmic fields and then projecting its own information back out. This is the command center, the bridge, where your personal mind hooks into the universal mind. So if all that is the cosmic hardware and the metaphysical operating system, how do you actually use it? What's the user interface for consciousness? Well, let's open up the mind's toolkit. First things first, you have to get this distinction clear in your head. There's the world without, the objective, physical stuff you see and touch, and then there's the world within, your subjective reality of thoughts and beliefs. And here's the most important part of this whole model. The inner world is the control panel. The outer world is just the screen. It's just a printout.
To work with that control panel, we can borrow some incredible tools from cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. CBT gives us a map of how our beliefs are built. Right at the surface, you've got these fleeting, automatic thoughts. They seem to pop up from nowhere, but they don't. They come from your intermediate beliefs, your personal rulebook. And that rulebook, it's built on the foundation of your core beliefs, the really deep, often hidden ideas you have about who you are.
And here is a classic CBT tool for rewriting your own code, the thought record. It is so powerful. You catch an automatic thought like, I'm not smart enough, and you don't just accept it. You put it on trial. You become a detective and actively hunt for evidence that proves it wrong. Then you consciously write a new, more balanced thought. You are literally debugging your own operating system one thought at a time.
Another great tool comes from Neuro-Linguistic Programming, or NLP. NLP teaches us that the words we use are just the surface structure. It's the tip of the iceberg. You say, I'm upset, right? But the deep structure is the whole universe behind that word. Who you're upset with, why you're upset, what it feels like in your body. The goal is to dive deep and reconnect with that full experience, creating a much richer and more accurate map of your reality.
Okay, part 4, the Godhead Blueprint. We've gone through the philosophy, the physics, the psychology. Now let's see what it looks like when someone puts this all together and goes for it. Let's look at a case study of an individual known as Princeps Polycap.
What you're seeing here is a reality model in action, evolving and growing over time. It starts with an identity, a concept, Princeps Polycap. That internal model then manifests as a real-world brand, Poly. From there, it expands into a massive vision for society, Poly 186, and it culminates in P3, a goal so big it's on a planetary scale. You can literally see the inner belief system expanding, and the external reality expanding to match it.
And the core of that Poly 186 vision isn't just a dream. It's based on real tech called cyber-physical systems. It's a blueprint for a smart, automated global network that uses AI to manage the supply of basic necessities for everyone. The goal is to engineer a world beyond scarcity. It's a perfect example of taking an internal blueprint and overlaying it onto the external world.
And then you have the ultimate application of this entire model, the P3 moonshot, a plan to terraform the Sahara Desert. Just pause and think about the sheer audacity of that. The level of core belief required to even entertain a goal of that magnitude. It requires a complete, unwavering conviction that you can fundamentally shape physical reality on a global scale.
And that brings us to our last section, your blueprint. We've gone from the very fabric of the cosmos all the way down to a plan to remake an entire continent. And now all of these huge ideas circle right back to the only person that really matters in this equation, you.
You see, we started with a question. But if you accept the premises of this model we've explored, we have to end with a statement. The world without is a reflection of the world within. You are not a spectator. You are an architect. So the only question left, the only one that truly matters is, what will you build?